Global Capital Inc. has designed the 10X Wealth Leadership Bootcamp for a particular reason. Now, one of the module in this program speak to the issue of the financial planner's game plan. And again, one of the reasons that we are rolling out this program is to be able to help millions of people across the world to be able to develop their financial goals, develop their financial game plan, to be able to appropriately timeline those game plans and take informed action in the implementation process. And today I want us to talk some more about that to really help you to get a better understanding as to how this program can position you to be more successful in business and more successful in life. Now, the successful people that we have looked at in the world, they have a few things in common. And one of those things that they have in common is that they all have clear game plan. They all have developed clear goals that influences their action towards achieving those financial corporate goals. Now, some of those successful people that we have been looking at are successful business leaders. Each one of them, you interface with them and you will be able to see their business strategic plan. And their business strategic plan perhaps will look for at their developmental game plan for the next 5, 10, or 15 years. When we look at the contractor and engineer, the contractor and engineer, the successful ones, they never start a building process without having the builder's plan drawing. You see, the builder's plan drawing informs their decision as they move towards building out their building. That's called the game plan. Again, when we look at successful governments across the world, like for example, when we look at China, China only a few years was considered a developing economy. Today, China is one of the fastest growing economy, and it is quickly becoming one of the first world economy and doing better than America, perhaps in a number of areas. This can only happen because China has the 30-year plan and China has the 50-year plan. So regardless of who rule, they're sticking to their game plan. The question that I want to ask you is that the human factors are the greatest asset the world has ever known. But what is your game plan for life? What is your game plan for success? There are many persons who have literally given up on developing their plan because they say they are not successful in achieving their plan. So they simply give up. Millions of people across the world are quite familiar with these terms. Now, have you ever considered that the reason that you're failing is largely because you're going about it in the wrong way? Yes, you may be going about it in the wrong way. So again, Global Capital Inc., we have developed a unique program titled the Financial Planners Game Plan. And this program is free. All of the introductory programs are free. So you can get registered for this program. Now today, I will walk you through some of the essential things that you should be thinking about when you are attempting to develop your goals. And this happens to you either at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year. What do? You develop your New Year resolutions. And by the second and third week, you forgot completely that you have started that process. I want to emphasize this also. We are doing this exercise of developing the financial planners game plan and introducing you to the financial planners game plan because of the fact that we want to help you to become more successful. And the inability to develop your goals, the inability to develop your game plans to achieve those goals, the inability to appropriately timeline your action, and the inability to implement processes, these are all reasons why you're failing, and perhaps why you will continue to fail throughout your entire life because you're not seeing the importance of this. Again, I'm talking about highly educated people. I'm talking about highly educated people that work paycheck to paycheck, largely because They have not exposed themselves to what you may want to call a financial planner who can help them to develop that game plan to be able to navigate the realities of life. Now, I want to walk you through 6 important steps today as it relates to goal setting. One of the first things that you want to do when you want to be successful in business or in life is to bring yourself to that point to be able to set clear goals. And the goal must be able to must clearly establish what is it that you want to achieve. So for example, if you want to increase your disposable income by $50 million or $100 million, you must be clear about it. The reason you want to be clear about this is because the clarity is what will inform your decisions moving forward. So there's 2 things here. One, you want to be clear, and 2, you want to be realistic in the goals that you're going to be setting yourself. If you listen to my earlier broadcast, I clearly state that the issue of realistic goal setting is highly subjective because what is average for me to do may not be average for the next person to do, largely because of mindset, largely because you may not have the mentor and the coach that can give you the support to achieve your financial goals, largely because you have not been schooled on financial intelligence, largely because you have not been exposed to this content. It shapes your mindset where you are thinking in fear, you're thinking in lack, you're thinking in limitation. So the issue of setting realistic financial goals is going to be very subjective depending on who we're talking to. So I want to get this very clear to you. All right. So the first thing is set clear financial goals. My greatest advice that I want to give you when you're developing your financial game plan, your financial goals, if you don't have all of the information, and I know that most of you do not have this kind of information, I want to encourage you to get a PFA. Get a professional financial advisor, get a personal financial advisor that can guide your steps through this process. All right. So the first thing that we're looking at here is financial goal setting. And we are talking about setting clear financial goals. And we are talking about setting realistic financial goals. The next thing that I want us to talk about is developing your financial game plan. Now, what exactly do I mean by developing your financial game plan? Now, if you set a goal of reaching $100 million within a year, you have to have the appropriate game plan. All right, it's important that you have the game plan that has the potential to cash flow to the sum and above the sum that you want to achieve. To be able to effectively evaluate this, you may have to do some deep diving if you don't have the experience in terms of what steps to take in developing your game plan to allow your game plan to generate between 50 to $100 million or above. All right. Some of the examples that I have looked at early on is that if you're developing your game plan to increase your disposable income and you're thinking about buying a car and putting a car into a taxi service or putting a car into private hire, we clearly established that a car can only generate X amount of monies per day. So if it falls within the target that you have, perhaps yes, you can use the car. But if it now falls within millions of dollars, you certainly cannot use the vehicle as the channel to achieve the financial objectives. You have to use another form of financial vehicle, financial tools to be able to reach the financial objectives. And this is so important for you to know because there are people that have big dreams, but they're playing the game here. They're playing the game at a lower level. You have big dreams, but you're playing the game here. You're playing the game here because the game plan is not complementary to the big vision that you have for yourself. That may be happening because you are not an expert in terms of developing game plan, you don't have experience in developing and implementing the game plan, and you're not doing all of the analytics necessary that allows you to make a better and informed and educated decision about the leverage you can attain with your game plan. So in terms of developing the financial game plan, the financial game plan must be clear and the financial game plan must be realistic. By realistic means that you must be able to do the analytics that clearly establish the potential of your game plan to cash flow in alignment with the financial goal that you have set yourself. All right. The next step that I want us to look at is that timelining is very important in this whole process. Financial timelining is absolutely necessary. Why? Because if you don't have a start date and an end date, the project can start at any old time and the project can end at any old time, which means that you're managing a runaway train. And the last thing that you want to do is to be managing a runaway train when it comes to setting your financial goals. Every year should be a year where you are leveraging this information to increase your disposable income that allows you to be in a position of strength to do more for yourself, to do more for your spouse, to do more for your loved ones. And as you come into our master classes, we walk you through this process. Now let's talk a little bit about timeline in a realistic way. You have children that may be going to school or you expect to get children. Let us say that your child is about 10 years old and in another 6, 7 years, they're going to be ready to go off to university. So you should start thinking ahead of all of these things. All right, in our program, we bring you into this. And you're thinking ahead about their college funds. And in thinking ahead, 5, 7 years ahead, you're saying to yourself that the cost to go to university per year may be 10,000 US dollars. So if you can predetermine this, it means now that you should have a game, as a goal to achieve this. All right, because the goal is going to be between 1,000, 2,000 US, sorry, 5,000 to 10,000 US dollars, depending on the program that they're doing per year. And the program most likely will last for 4 years. So if it's $5,000 annually that you're going to be paying in student fee, you need to, for the 4 year period, you need to have your goal setting and game planning set to achieve at least 20,000 US dollars or 40,000 US dollars. And if you don't know how, again, this is one of the reasons why you should get a PFA, a professional financial advisor, a personal financial advisor that can help you to understand what is passive income cash flow, what is multiple streams of income, and what is smart investment strategies. And by understanding these portfolios, by building out these portfolios, the possibility exists that you can leverage it to address your children college funds 5, 6, 7 years ahead of time. So in talking about timeline, you don't wait until your child or children reaches the age of 17 and they're ready now to go off to university. And then you start saying, I wish, I wish, I wish. And now you have to wish that they get a scholarship. And if they don't get a scholarship, perhaps they don't get to pursue the study of their dreams. So financial timelining in this regard is important. The same principle applies to every other area of your life. You don't wait until the day before your marriage and then you start thinking about the cost of getting married and perhaps doing the marriage that the world will talk about. Yes, it might be a waste of money, but yes, it is the impression that you want to lay on people. And you don't necessarily have to use your primary source of income to achieve this. You can use secondary sources of income. You can use passive income cash flow. You can use your multiple income platforms to do all of this. And this again is one of the reasons why we advise you that you should get a PFA, a professional financial advisor that can navigate you through the world of finance. So you don't wait until you're ready to get married and today it's tomorrow, and then you start thinking that you don't have money to rent the banquet hall. You don't have money to provide food and all the goodies for everyone. The wedding dress hasn't been purchased. The wedding gown hasn't been purchased. And all of these different things hasn't been done. You need to think ahead of all of these things. You need to set appropriate timeline in which you're going to cash flow and ensure that the game plan, the goals that you are set to achieve here, you have the appropriate game plan that can be achieved within the timeline that you're going to set yourself. The same principle apply to your business. All right. In the field of production, if the production runs over time unnecessarily, it increases the cost of productivity. And if it increases the cost of productivity because you're badly managing time, it's going to increase the cost of the product when it comes to the consumer. And if you have competition in that field, the competition is going to beat you at price. They may beat you at quality. They may beat you at services, largely because you're a failure in terms of managing your time appropriately, timeline. And so it's important for you to understand the beginning and end date. All right, because the beginning and end date, depending on the projects that you're dealing with, depending on the goals that you are setting, it can influence the budget, the high and low of the budget. All right. If the realistic time to complete a project is 6 months and you budget for that, experts will tell you if you can reduce the timeline in the project completion, you can save cost. You can save cost. And that is money in your pocket. So clearly developing the timeline is something for you to think about. Now, the next important lesson that I want us to talk about is what I'm going to call the implementation process. Because this is what many people do. You set your financial goals, either at the beginning or at the end of the year. You call it your New Year resolution. Some may even go that far to develop their game plan. Some even go a step further to timeline the period in which they want to achieve the financial goal that you've set yourself. But guess what? You fail to implement the process, implement the game plan towards achieving the financial goal that you've set yourself. And this is quite common, all right? Perhaps 8 out of 10 persons that you're going to be talking to are going to be persons that have lived this life, setting goal, developing game plan, timeline, but never implementing the process. Why? Because many people have fear, many people have doubts, and many persons allow the fear and the doubt to predetermine your outcome in life. There's some people that they're so trapped in fear and doubts that you can ultimately become a psychic by saying that the fear is going to have the stronghold on their life. And if there's no strategic intervention, they will allow fear to ultimately shape the quality of life that they are having. They become molded and shaped by fear and by doubt. Now, I'm not saying that there's not justifiable reason in some cases for you to be fearful, but regardless of the justifiable reasons that are out there, the last thing that you want to be doing as a leader is to be living in fear. The last thing that you want to be doing when you're taking ownership of over your life and your destiny is to be living in fear, to be living in lack, limitation, doubts, and fear. Those are the last thing that you want to be living in. And I'm saying this and I'm emphasizing this because I'm fully aware of so many people who have been through so many bad experiences. Yes, because the world is made up of the good, the bad, and the indifferent. You have to learn how to walk between the raindrops. You have to learn how to navigate life. You have to learn how to take ownership and mastery over your life. Take your destiny into your own hands and shape it. Hence the reason for understanding how to develop your goals, how to develop your game plan, how to timeline your game plan, how to take informed action in the implementation process. It's not enough to have the information. It's equally important or more important to be able to apply this information. Hence come the fourth element here that we call implementation. The goals that you're setting yourself has to be, you have to develop appropriate game plan. And once you develop the appropriate game plan, you want to implement like your life depends on it. It is not fair that you allow your fear of something going wrong to prevent you from living your best life now. It is not fair that you allow someone else's fear to dictate how far you go in your life, because this is what happens all the time. People have fear and people mirror their fear on you. And if you're not an independent thinker who can think for yourself and think critically, you allow the fear of people to define your destiny when it comes to your goal setting. There's some people that believe that they don't have the potential to achieve greatness. And when you tell them that you want to achieve greatness, they mirror their fear in you. And because perhaps you're not critical thinking enough, or perhaps not smart enough, you allow them to transfer their negative self-thoughts on you and their goals, your financial goals, your financial game plan, your timeline, your implementation. You stuck here where you're not taking action and informed action to achieve your dreams, your hopes, and your aspirations. I want to say this to you. There's no limit to the great things that you can achieve. I didn't say it. The great book said it. So as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And the fact is, if you think in lack, limitation, doubts, and fear, that's what you are. But if you think in abundance and greatness and success, that's exactly what you are. And if you're the kind of person who wants to achieve more financially and wants to achieve more in life, you're at the right place with the programs that we have designed at Global Capital Inc. You're at the right place. All right. So the ability to implement your game plan is absolutely necessary. All right. I want to give you some good advice. I know that you may have fears. The world is not a perfect place. But I want you to put yourself in this position of strength where you're taking steps to take ownership over your life. You're taking steps to carve your footprint in the world. You're taking steps to fulfill your purpose and fulfill your destiny. And you're saying to yourself, regardless of the realities of life, regardless of the circumstances of life, regardless of how fearful you're feeling right now, you will keep moving towards your dreams, your hopes, and your aspirations. You will continue to set goals. You will continue to develop your game plan. You will continue to timeline them appropriately, and you will continue to take informed action to achieve those goals. The beauty about all of this, you don't have to do this alone. You have a team of players, a team of certified public accountant, a team of economists, a team of business consultants, a team of business advisors, a team of best-selling authors. You have a team of persons around you to give you the guidance and the support to achieve the objective. And guess what else? All of the introductory programs for 2021 is going to be free. So what in God's name do you have to lose, to have fear, to just get registered and expose yourself to a new form of learning? Have they dumbed you down enough that you are scared of exposing yourself to understand a content of information that can really help you to understand how money works and inform you of appropriate steps that you can take to attain financial independence? Come on. The next step that I want to talk about is what we call team motivation. In developing your goal, in developing your game plan, in timelining your game plan, in implementing your game plan to achieve financial independence, you must always ask yourself, what are my systems to motivate my team? Success is never but me, myself, and I. Success is more enjoyable. Success is more quickly accessible when you have a team in place that are cheering you on. And I want to say this to you as it relates to you taking steps to build the right team around you. You need to build the right team around you. The last set of people that you want in your team is toxic mindset. Toxic mindset. People who are thinking in lack and limitation and doubts and fear. People who have been defined by negative exposure. People who have been beaten down in life and they become the product of those experiences. You see, there's nothing wrong in being beaten down, but the last place that you want to stay is down. Experience does two things to people. It wakes you up and pushes you forward, or it makes you fearful and dumbs you down. It's our vision that once you're part of our community, where we are teaching you to understand financial intelligence, regardless of if you have been beaten down time and time again, and I know many of you have. Once you're at this doorstep and you have the willingness to learn and to grow and to have new experience, we will work with you to ensure that you are going after your dreams and you're given the support to achieve your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations, and you're making your financial breakthrough. But if you're toxic, if you're bringing negative energy, if you're bringing doubts and fear and lack and limitation, and you want to mirror that on our setting, for too long shall be the cry. Our vision here is to provide a content of information that helps you to get off of the paycheck to paycheck cycle. If there's no harm in you working for pay and leveraging your talent and your time for pay, what is wrong when you learn how to put your money to work for you so you can earn when you sleep? If someone is saying to you it is wrong for you to earn when you sleep, believe me, those persons simply don't have your interest at heart. If they're going to tell you all you can do and the value of your life is to work paycheck to paycheck, they don't love you. They don't care for you. So you got to be careful who you're listening to. They certainly don't have your interest. We know that you feel safe in this space, and we are not telling you to get out of that space right now. We are telling you simply learn a new skill that will allow you to earn more, that will allow you to do more for yourself, that will allow you to do more for your loved ones, your spouse, your kids, that will allow you to be able to take an all-inclusive family tour anywhere in the world because you have the disposable income to do it, because you're going after financial independence and you're achieving it. Now, there are many persons that may cry quack with no information, with just a perception. And it's foolish for you to just listen to a perception with no facts. The people who are calling quack, and allow the quacks to influence your decision and talk you out of your greatness. I know that these things happen. Many of you set your goals. Many of you try to develop your game plan. Many of you timeline it. Many of you try to take steps to implement it. But soon someone say that it's impossible for you to achieve that. Before you get into the fight, you get into the flight. You fly away from your dreams, your hopes, and your aspirations. Instead, you say, I'm going to be anchored and I'm going to fight for the things that I believe in. I'm going to fight with the belief that the great minds say that so as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And all I have in my heart is the ability to achieve greatness so I can do more in this world for so many different people. If you're in lack and limitation, doubts and fear, how much can you do to empower society, to empower people? How much can you do? And my vision is that as I empower you with this content of information, that you will make that commitment to touch your life and pass it on to other people in the world. There's so many people in the world that needs this kind of information. The last lesson that I'm going to talk about today is what I'm going to call evaluation and control. It's absolutely necessary for you to evaluate. You have to constantly keep evaluating human performance, technical performance, financial performance towards achieving the goal. You have to be set up systems to be able to monitor these things on an hourly basis, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. The evaluation process is continuous because it's only this will allow you to have the information to be able to take steps to control the outcome, to control the outcome. All right, so this is part of the financial planner's game plan. And the six important concepts that we look at today for the financial planner game plan, we talk about financial goal setting, we talk about financial game planning, we talk about financial timelining, we talk about financial game plan implementation, we talk about financial game plan around team motivation. You must have a clear system to motivate your team, and you must also have a clear system of evaluating and controlling the outcome that you want. Now, this part is so important because if you can't control, if you're not taking steps to control the outcome that you want, the project will run away. It can and will run away from you. And this is perhaps one of the reasons why you would say, I do not plan because my plan never come true. It don't come true because you are not evaluating and you are not controlling the process. Let me say this. People rise and fall in leadership. People rise and fall on habits. What is or are your habits around management? What is and are your habits around leadership? What is and are your habits around wealth creation? You may have lousy habits around all of these things, and you want to be successful. You rise and fall on habits. I've given you the lessons. Many of you who are in my cluster, I've exposed you to the lessons. What is your habits in listening to those lessons, in reading those lessons, in taking the time to take notes, taking the time to get involved in the conversation, taking the time to ensure that you're learning the concepts, taking the time to ensure that you're talking with one of our PFA, taking the time to put yourself under mentorship and coaching, taking the time to grow. What are your habits around all of these things? Remember, you're going to be successful based on these things. Again, my name is Gary Thompson. I'm a business development consultant by profession. I'm a humanitarian by nature, and I'm the multiple best-selling author for several books, including Billionaire Codes and Manager's Toolkit. My new book, 10X Branding and Marketing, The Psychology of Doing Business, will be out very soon. That's a fantastic book. Yes, I'm blowing my own trumpet, but I want to be the first person who's praising me. I ain't want to wait for nobody to praise me. I'm going to praise me first. I'm going to exercise a high level of confidence in me, and who don't like it, that's your business, none of my business. This book is designed to really help you to understand the importance of building a corporate culture that can achieve larger than life impact. And you want to achieve larger than life impact in 4 important areas of your organization. You want to impact your workforce. And this is no gaming here, buddy. It's no gaming. All right? This is serious, real business. You want to make the larger than life impact on your internal, your workforce. And in this program, we talk about blanket workplace self-actualization. You want to make impact on your specific target audience, because if you're not making impact on your target audience, you're not converting. You want to make impact on the general public. Why? Because the general public may be your biggest cheerleaders. So you want to influence their decision in a positive way. The last thing you want to make impact on your bottom line. So this program, this book really talks to you about that. And we have the book, we have the training program to get you going here. Step two, this program talks to you about your corporate culture being built out to withstand domestic and foreign threat. You may be able to withstand domestic threat, but can you really withstand foreign direct investors coming into your country? They're coming with the talent, years of experience, they're coming with the capital, all different types of capital. Capital from the DCM, the ECM, the SCM, and the CCM, and you just depending on the DCM capital to do your business. How you're going to compete at those levels. We walk you through those process. We talk to you about all the different financial models. So you are in a more strategic position of strength to take leadership. Awareness, inform action, better results. The last thing that we're going to talk about, not last but not least, but the last thing that we're going to be looking at today is what we call your corporate culture and the business conversion factors. What are your business conversion factors? You know, we go deep into these things. How to pique interest, arouse desire, get the customer's interaction. Once you get the customer interaction, what steps can you take to convert first-time users into lifetime customers? If you want to have a successful business, if you want to have a successful brand, I urge you to get a copy of this book from the time I get out. I want to encourage you to follow me on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Facebook, like our pages, so you will be the first to get all the daily programs that we're going to be bringing to you. Remember, Global Capital Inc. and Global Branding and Marketing, we are hardcore business entities, but we manage with a humanitarian flair. We believe that when we put human interests above our financial objectives, and yes, we do have a financial objective. We are entrepreneurs, we are business people, but where we trump is our commitment to enhancing and fostering sustainable human resource development. That's our focus. And who got a problem with that? That's your business. That's not our business. We care about the human resources that we are training, the human resources that are going to be a part of our institution, and we make that commitment. And we have a larger than life commitment to our human resources. Let us speak our narrative, and you stop speaking our narrative for us. My friends, I trust that you would have enjoyed today's program. Today we look at the financial planner's game plan, and we are now breaking ice. This is the icebreaker. Consider everything that we've been doing right now as the icebreaker. We're now getting warm up. In our drive to touch your life, transform your life, and impact your life in ways perhaps you might have never thought possible. So remember, we're in a period of COVID-19. I want to encourage you to be safe, protect yourself, protect your loved ones, and get registered now. This program is free. Get registered. The introductory program is free. What do you have to lose? Fear? That's one thing you should definitely be losing, fear. Don't act on your doubts. Get the right information. Dig in deep. Now, if somebody says something, my advice to you, dig deep. Become an investigator. Don't act on speculation. Bye-bye, my friend. See you in the next broadcast. Be blessed.